Ambassador Zefkar of the Valonian Republic clutched his communication device with trembling tentacles as the emergency session of the Intergalactic Confederation convened. His violet skin had paled to an almost translucent lavender, and his 3 eyes darted nervously between the holographic displays showing the carnage on Kepler-4 Esteemed delegates, his voice crackled through the universal translator. What you're about to witness will haunt your sleep cycles for rotations to come. The massive amphitheater, carved from a single asteroid and floating in the neutral zone between 12 star systems, fell silent. Representatives from across the galaxy, the crystalline Zephyrians, the gas-formed nebulites, the insectoid hive collective all turned their attention to the central display. 3 standard weeks ago, our most elite xenobiological survey team landed on Kepler-4 Zefkar continued, his voice breaking slightly. Commander Vexthal, decorated veteran of the Andromeda conflicts, Dr. Nissa Brightscale, the finest xenobiologist in known space, 27 specialists, armed with the latest plasma weaponry and protective gear. The hologram flickered to life, showing pristine forests of towering purple trees under twin suns. The landscape looked deceptively peaceful, almost Eden-like in its beauty. The initial surveys detected standard carbon-based life forms. Nothing unusual, nothing threatening. Zefkar's voice dropped to a whisper. They were wrong, so very, terribly wrong. The recording switched to helmet cam footage. The Valonian survey team moved through the forest with practiced efficiency, scanners beeping softly as they cataloged flora and fauna. Then, without warning, the peaceful chirping of alien birds gave way to an ungodly sound, a shriek that seemed to tear through the very fabric of space. By the 7 moons of Arcturus, gasped Representative Quinder of the Hive Collective, her compound eyes reflecting the horror on screen. The creatures that emerged from the underbrush defied description, nearly the size of Earth's great cats. They moved with liquid grace on 6 powerful legs. Their bodies were covered in scales that shifted color like oil on water, creating a mesmerizing and terrifying display. But it was their weapons that truly horrified the watching delegates. Razor-sharp claws that extended from their paws like organic switchblades, fangs that dripped with bioluminescent venom, and those eyes intelligent, calculating, and utterly merciless. The helmet cam footage showed chaos. Plasma bolts fired wildly as the creatures later designated as Zarnixtor through the survey team's defenses like they were made of paper. The screams of the dying mixed with the unholy shrieks of the attacking beasts. 27 beings. Zefkar's voice was hollow now, gone in less than 4 minutes. Commander Vexthal's final transmission was simple. Quarantine this world. Never let anyone land here again. The recording ended, leaving the amphitheater in stunned silence. Finally, High Chancellor Murdoch of the Zephyrian Collective spoke, his crystalline form resonating with harmonics of distress. The motion for planetary quarantine is approved unanimously. Kepler-4 is hereby designated as a Class X death world. Any approach within 10 stellar units is forbidden. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly in the back of the amphitheater. Barely noticed by the traumatized delegates, sat a small delegation from a recently contacted world called Earth. Dr. Sarah Chen, a xenobiologist from Earth's newly formed Interstellar Relations Department, watched the footage with a very different expression than the others. While the alien delegates recoiled in horror, Dr. Chen leaned forward with scientific curiosity. Where others saw monsters, she saw behavior patterns. Where others saw chaos, she saw pack hunting tactics. And when the recording showed a brief glimpse of smaller Arnix juveniles, by her estimation huddling together after the attack, she saw something else entirely fascinating. She murmured to her companion, Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force, "Look at those maternal protective behaviors. And did you notice how they only attacked when the survey team got close to what looked like a nesting area?" Captain Morrison, a grizzled veteran of Earth's own wildlife encounters, nodded thoughtfully. "Reminds me of dealing with grizzly bears in Yellowstone. Dangerous as hell. But they're just protecting their young." The human delegation exchanged glances, while the rest of the galaxy saw an unspeakable horror that needed to be contained forever. They saw something else entirely, a challenge, a puzzle, and perhaps most dangerously of all, an opportunity. As the Confederation session concluded with renewed vows to avoid Kepler 440 to be at all costs, Dr. Chen was already drafting a proposal that would shock the galaxy to its core. Earth's first independent xenobiological expedition was about to begin. 3 months after the Confederation's horrified decree, the ISV Curiosity, Earth's first long-range exploration vessel, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 440 system. The sleek ship, a marvel of human engineering combined with gifted alien technology, maintained a respectful distance from the quarantined world while its crew made final preparations. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck, watching the forbidden planet slowly rotate beneath them. Unlike the terror-stricken aliens who had fled this system, she felt only excitement. The preliminary data they'd gathered from long-range scans had confirmed her suspicions. The Zarniks weren't mindless, killing machines. They were intelligent, social creatures with complex behavioral patterns. "Still think this is a good idea, Doc?" Captain Morrison joined her at the viewport, his weathered face reflecting the planet's purple-tinged light. Behind them, the rest of the expedition team ran through final equipment checks. "Jake, I've spent my entire career studying Earth's most dangerous predators," Sarah replied, her voice filled with conviction. "From Siberian tigers to saltwater crocodiles, the key isn't avoiding them, it's understanding them." The team Earth had assembled was unlike anything the galaxy had seen. While other species sent military units or robotic probes to dangerous worlds, humanity had chosen a different approach. Dr. Chen led a team of xenobiologists, but she'd also insisted on including Dr. Marcus Webb, a veterinarian who specialized in large predators, and most surprisingly, Keiko Tanaka, a 20-something animal behaviorist whose social media following had made her famous for her work with misunderstood creatures. "The Confederation is going to lose their collective minds when they find out we're here," muttered Dr. Webb, checking his medical supplies one final time. "3 species have declared this planet a death sentence, and we're planning to land and say hello. That's exactly why we need to be here," Keiko said, her eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Every monster I've ever worked with turned out to be just an animal that nobody took the time to understand. These Zarniks are probably the same. The ship's AI Arya announced final approach clearance." Captain Morrison took one last look at his crude 12 humans who were about to do something that would either make history or end their lives. "Remember," Dr. Chen addressed the team, "we're not here to conquer or contain. We're here to communicate. Every species in the galaxy has approached the Zarniks with fear and weapons. We're going to try something different." The landing site they'd chosen was several kilometers from where the Valonian survey team met their fate. Long-range sensors had identified it as a clearing near what appeared to be a water source, a neutral zone where the Zarniks might be more approachable. As the Curiosity's landing shuttle touched down on the alien soil, the team could hear them immediately. The haunting calls of the Zarniks echoed through the purple forest, a sound that had given nightmares to half the galaxy. But to human ears, it sounded almost musical, like whale songs mixed with the calls of Earth's big cats. "They know we're here," Dr. Webb observed, scanning the tree line with his binoculars. "Look, their movement in the shadows. Through the alien foliage, shapes moved with predatory grace. The shimmer of color-shifting scales caught the light of the twin suns, and occasionally, a pair of intelligent eyes would fix on the human landing party before disappearing back into the undergrowth. They're studying us," Keiko whispered in delight. "Look at that behavior pattern. They're curious, not aggressive. They're trying to figure out what we are." Dr. Chen activated her recording equipment, documenting everything. "Note the time, 14:30 to local time. First contact with Zarnik population. Subjects appear to be observing landing party from approximately 50 meters distance. No aggressive posturing detected." What happened next would become legend throughout the galaxy. As the humans set up their equipment with calm, methodical precision, showing no fear, no weapons, no threatening behavior, the Zarniks' calls began to change. The haunting cries softened, becoming almost inquisitive, and then, from the edge of the clearing, A single juvenile Zarnik emerged. It was smaller than the adults, perhaps half the size, with scales that shifted between deep purple and silver. Its claws were retracted, and its posture was clearly non-threatening. It approached the humans with the universal gait of a young creature exploring its world, curious, cautious but not afraid. "Oh my God," Keiko breathed, her voice filled with wonder. "It's adorable." The words that would shake the galaxy to its core were spoken not in the controlled environment of a laboratory or the formal chambers of the Confederation, but in a purple forest on a quarantined world, by a young woman who saw beauty where others saw only horror. The juvenile Zarnik tilted its head at the sound of her voice, and Dr. Chen could swear she saw intelligence and perhaps even amusement in those alien eyes. The juvenile Zarnik, whom Keiko had immediately dubbed Shimmer, for its color-changing scales crept closer to the human landing party with a mixture of caution and curiosity that was utterly unlike the savage attacks recorded in the Confederation files. Dr. Chen watched in fascination as the young creature exhibited classic exploratory behavior. Approach, pause, assess, approach again. "It's treating us like a new environmental factor," she murmured into her recorder. "No fear response, no aggressive posturing. This is exactly what I hoped to see." Dr. Webb, despite his professional composure, couldn't help but smile as Shimmer stopped just 3 meters away and performed what could only be described as a playbow, front end low, rear end high, tail swishing with what appeared to be excitement. "I've seen this behavior before," he said quietly, "in wolf pups, in young big cats. It's an invitation to interact." Keiko, who had been slowly reaching into her pack, produced something that made the rest of the team stare in amazement. A bag of what looked suspiciously like dog treats. "Keiko," Captain Morrison said carefully, "please tell me you didn't bring Earth snacks to feed to an alien apex predator." "They're not just snacks," she replied with a grin. "They're specially formulated protein treats that should be safe for most carbon-based life forms. And besides, food is a universal language." She tossed one of the treats gently toward Shimmer. The young Zarnik's head snapped toward the projectile with lightning reflexes, but instead of the aggressive pounce everyone expected, it sniffed the treat curiously before taking a tentative bite. The effect was immediate and magical. Shimmer's scales shifted to a brilliant gold color, and it made a sound that was unmistakably pleased, a rumbling purr that seemed to resonate through the clearing. "Did that thing just purr, Doctor?" Webb asked in amazement. "Purr, and its scales changed to what I'm pretty sure is a happiness color," Dr. Chen confirmed, her scientific excitement barely contained. "This is unprecedented. We're witnessing interspecies communication based on positive reinforcement." What happened next would be replayed on news feeds across the galaxy for years to come. More Zarniks began emerging from the forest adults, this time their scales shifting through cautious blues and purples. But instead of attacking, they seemed to be investigating. The largest adult, a magnificent creature whose scales shimmered with patterns that reminded Dr. Chen of Aurora Borealis, approached with regal dignity. It studied the humans with intelligent eyes, then looked at Shimmer, who was now sitting hopefully near Keiko, clearly hoping for more treats. "I think we're being introduced," Keiko whispered. "This is Shimmer's parent, and it's checking us out." Dr. Chen made a decision that would change everything. Moving slowly and deliberately, she reached into her own pack and withdrew her emergency rations, not the protein treats, but actual human food. She unwrapped a nutrition bar and broke off a small piece, offering it to the adult Zarnik with an open palm. The creature's head tilted, and for a moment, the clearing was silent except for the alien wind in the purple trees. Then, with infinite care, the adult Zarnik extended its neck and gently took the food from Dr. Chen's hand. Its claws, those legendary weapons that had shredded elite soldiers, remained completely retracted. Its fangs, dripping with venom that could kill most known species, stayed hidden. It was, in that moment, simply a parent sharing a meal with a potential friend. By every law of xenobiology, this shouldn't be possible, Dr. Webb muttered, but his voice was filled with wonder rather than disbelief. These creatures are supposed to be apex predators. They're not supposed to be social. Maybe they are apex predators, Dr. Chen suggested, watching as more Zarniks emerged from the forest. But maybe they're also intelligent, social beings. Maybe the previous encounters went wrong because everyone approached them with fear and weapons. As if to prove her point, Shimmer bounded over to Captain Morrison and began exhibiting what could only be described as playful behavior, circling him, making soft chirping sounds, and occasionally pouncing on his bootlaces. Doc, Morrison said, trying to maintain his military bearing while a deadly alien predator played with his feet like a kitten. I think we need to report this to Earth Command. Report what? Keiko laughed, pulling out her personal camera. That the galaxy's most feared predators are actually giant space cats who like belly rubs. As if summoned by her words, Shimmer rolled over and exposed its belly, a gesture of ultimate trust that made Dr. Chen's heart skip a beat. Oh no, she whispered. We're in trouble. What kind of trouble? Morrison asked, still trying to keep his bootlaces away from Shimmer's playful pounces. The kind where we're about to fall in love with an entire species, Dr. Chen replied, watching as the adult Zarniks began to show signs of what could only be described as curiosity about the strange new creatures who had landed in their territory. Within hours, the human expedition had achieved something that no other species in the galaxy had managed: peaceful contact with the Zarniks. And as the twin suns set over the purple forest, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold, the humans found themselves surrounded by a pack of the galaxy's most feared predators. They were purring. The first video hit the Galactic Communications Network 72 hours after the Curiosity's landing. Uploaded by Keiko Tanaka through Earth's newly established interstellar internet connection. It showed her sitting in the purple grass of Kepler 440b with Shimmer's massive head resting contentedly in her lap while she scratched behind its ear-like appendages. The video's title, translated into the universal language, read, Day 3 with my new friend. Shimmer tried to kill me again, just kidding. He's learning to play fetch. The reaction was immediate and galaxy-wide. On Valonia Prime, Ambassador Zethkar dropped his ceremonial staff when his aide showed him the video. His 3 eyes blinked in rapid succession, a sign of extreme distress in his species. This is impossible, he whispered, his skin cycling through shocked purples and terrified grays. The humans are either the bravest species in the galaxy, or the most foolish. I cannot decide which. The Zephyrian Collective held an emergency session within their crystal cathedral on Rigel 7. High Chancellor Murdoch's crystalline form resonated with harmonics of confusion and concern. As he addressed the gathered minds, analysis of the human video files shows no signs of deception. He announced to the assembled consciousness, they appear to have achieved peaceful contact with the Zarniks through methods that our finest military strategists claim should be impossible. Perhaps, suggested resonance singer Velter, our definition of impossible requires revision. Meanwhile, in the gas clouds of the Nebula Collective, formless beings of pure energy crackled with electrical equivalent of nervous laughter as they watched human children, actual younglings, playing with juvenile Zarniks in what could only be described as an interspecies playground. But it was the Hive Collective's response that truly captured the galaxy's bewilderment. Queen Mind Sithara, speaking for billions of interconnected consciousnesses, issued a statement that would be quoted for generations. We have observed the human behavior for 72 standard hours. Our conclusion, humans are either a species of unprecedented courage or they possess a psychological condition that prevents them from recognizing danger. We are uncertain which possibility terrifies us more. The videos kept coming. Dr. Chen's research footage showed adult Zarniks bringing their young to meet the humans, behavior that xenobiologists across the galaxy declared unprecedented in interspecies relations. Dr. Webb's medical documentation revealed that Zarnik venom, while deadly to most known species, was apparently harmless to humans due to a quirk in their biochemistry. But it was Captain Morrison's security footage that truly shocked the galaxy. It showed him teaching a pack of Zarniks a simple game involving a ball and something that looked suspiciously like the fetch behavior of Earth's domestic canines. This is Captain Morrison's log, Day 5, his voice narrated over the incredible Footage. The Zarniks have learned basic commands, sit, stay, and drop it translate pretty well through the universal translator. Who knew space monsters could be so trainable? The footage showed Morrison throwing a ball across the clearing, and 6 adult Zarniks each, one capable of tearing apart a military squad chasing after it with what could only be described as puppy-like enthusiasm. On Arcturus Station, the galaxy's largest spaceport, crowds gathered around the public video displays to watch the impossible. Traders, diplomats, and beings from 100 worlds stood in stunned silence as they witnessed humans doing something that defied every law of interspecies relations. "Look at them," whispered a young Valonian to her clutchmate. "They show no fear." "How can they show no fear?" "Because they're insane," replied her companion. "It's the only explanation." But not everyone was convinced of human insanity. Dr. Zaraquin, the galaxy's most respected xenopsychologist, issued a statement from her research facility on Proxima Centauri. "What we're witnessing may represent the most significant breakthrough in interspecies relations since the founding of the Confederation. The humans have achieved something we thought impossible. They've made contact with a hostile species through empathy rather than force. We must study their methods." The Confederation Council was in chaos. Emergency sessions were called hourly as more videos emerged. Keiko's latest upload showed her teaching a group of juvenile Zarniks to paint with their claws, creating abstract art that several galactic critics were already calling revolutionary. "They're turning the galaxy's most feared predators into artists," Chancellor Murdoch observed, his crystalline form flickering with confused harmonics. "How do we even categorize this, perhaps?" suggested the Hive Collective's representative. "The question is not how to categorize it, but how to understand it. The humans have revealed something we missed. The Zarniks were never monsters. They were simply misunderstood." As the galaxy struggled to process this revelation, a new video appeared on the networks. This one showed Dr. Chen sitting beside a fire as night fell on Kepler 4b, surrounded by a pack of Zarniks who were quite literally curled up around the human camp, like enormous, protective pets. Research log, Day 7. Her voice was calm, almost meditative. "We've made contact with the Zarnik pack leaders. They're not just intelligent, they're curious about us. They want to learn about our world, just as we want to learn about theirs. Tomorrow, we begin Phase 2 of the Cultural Exchange Program." The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what Phase 2 would bring. 6 months after the first human landing on Kepler 4b, the Intergalactic Confederation found itself facing a crisis unlike any in its history. The emergency session convened in the Great Asteroid Amphitheater was packed beyond capacity, with representatives from every member world demanding answers to questions that challenged the very foundations of galactic civilization. Ambassador Zefkar, his Valonian features now permanently tinged with the pale lavender of perpetual confusion, stood at the central podium. Around him, holographic displays showed scenes that had become commonplace on human social networks, but remained shocking to the rest of the galaxy. Children riding Zarniks like ponies, families adopting Zarnik pups, entire human colonies now protected by packs of the creatures once considered the galaxy's greatest threat. "Esteemed delegates," Zefkar began, his voice carrying the weight of cosmic bewilderment, "we are here to address what can only be described as the complete revision of our understanding of interspecies relations. The humans have not only survived contact with the Zarniks, they have domesticated them." A ripple of uneasy murmurs swept through the assembly. On the main display, a video played showing a human child named Emma Chen Morrison, Dr. Chen's daughter, celebrating her 8th birthday with a Zarnik named Cobalt, wearing what appeared to be a party hat and somehow managing to look dignified. "Despite the absurd accessory, this is impossible," declared Representative Vexmer of the Andromedans, his scaled hide flushing with agitation. "Our battle computers have run thousands of simulations. Contact with Zarniks should result in immediate fatality, yet these humans treat them as pets," finished High Chancellor Murdoch, his crystalline form resonating with harmonics of amazement. "They have turned apex predators into companions. The implications are staggering." Dr. Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's first xenobiological ambassador, rose from the human delegation section. 6 months of working with the Zarniks had changed her. Her confidence was absolute. Her understanding of interspecies relations revolutionary. Honored delegates, she began, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. I understand your confusion, but what you're seeing isn't impossible. It's simply what happens when you approach another species. With curiosity instead of fear, with respect instead of weapons. She gestured to the displays showing the latest footage from Kepler-4b, where the first permanent human Zarnik settlement was thriving. The Zarniks attacked previous expeditions because they were protecting their territory and their young. When we approached them as potential friends rather than threats, everything changed. But how? The question came from Queen Mind Sithara of the Hive Collective, her voice carrying the bewilderment of billions of interconnected consciousnesses. How did you know they could be tamed? We didn't, Dr. Chen replied with a smile. We just knew they were intelligent, social creatures. On Earth, we have a saying, there are no bad dogs, only bad owners. We applied that same principle here. The Zarniks weren't monsters, they were just animals that nobody had taken the time to understand. The central display shifted to show the most recent development. Zarniks had begun following human explorers to other worlds, not as weapons or guards, but as companions. 3 new colony worlds now hosted human Zarnik populations, and the results were remarkable. The Zarniks' natural abilities made them perfect partners for humans. Their keen senses, their loyalty, their protective instincts all channeled into positive relationships. Captain Morrison, now promoted to admiral and serving as Earth's military liaison, stepped forward. The Zarniks have taught us as much as we've taught them. They've shown us new ways to survive in hostile environments, new approaches to interspecies cooperation. They're not just pets, they're partners. The revelation that shook the galaxy most wasn't the domestication itself, but what it revealed about galactic civilization. For millennia, the Confederation had approached unknown species with caution, weapons, and carefully calculated risk assessments. They had created a galaxy where fear governed first contact, where the assumption was always that the unknown was dangerous. Humans had done the opposite. They had approached the unknown with curiosity, with open hands instead of weapons, with the assumption that most creatures, no matter how alien, could be understood and potentially befriended. The question before us, Dr. Chen continued, is not whether humans are crazy for befriending Zarniks. The question is, how many other monsters in our galaxy are simply misunderstood creatures, waiting for someone to show them kindness? The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Across the galaxy, there were dozens of worlds classified as death worlds, hundreds of species labeled as hostile or dangerous. What if some of them, like the Zarniks, were simply waiting for someone to approach them with love instead of fear? Young Keiko Tanaka, now the galaxy's most famous xenobiologist, activated her personal communicator. The massive screens filled with her image as she spoke from her research station on Kepler-4b. A fully grown Zarnik named Aurora resting peacefully beside her chair. I've got some exciting news, she announced, her enthusiasm infectious even across the vast distances of space. We've made contact with another species the Confederation has classified as hostile. They're called thorn beasts, and they're on the quarantine list. But guess what? They're actually just really shy, and they love music. I'm already working on a playlist for first contact. As Keiko's transmission ended, the galaxy faced a choice. They could continue their old ways, approaching the unknown with fear and weapons, or they could learn from humanity's revolutionary approach. Ambassador Zethkar looked round the chamber, his expression thoughtful. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the Confederation to establish a new protocol for first contact situations. A human protocol. The vote was unanimous. The galaxy had learned that sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is assume that something is dangerous, and sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply offering friendship to a stranger. In the months that followed, the Confederation established the Humans Zarnik Interspecies Cooperation Program. The first graduate teams of humans and their Zarnik partners would go on to make peaceful contact with 17 previously hostile species. The galaxy would never be the same.